I know what you're thinking. Wow, this guy's really run out of ideas by now. I mean, debunking a Greentext image? What's next? You're gonna tell me that Mario 2 was originally a different game? I already know that the stories and information posted here are artistic works of fiction and falsehood. Only a fool would take anything posted here as fact. But Wario is one of my favorite characters of all time, and I always see this image used whenever people talk about why they like him. And it's a really good image! It's always fun to see people's reactions to finding out that Wario can't die because he just doesn't feel like it. But I've always been curious, where does all this information come from? The image just says Japanese sources, and while I don't doubt the claims, I just thought it'd be cool to figure out where exactly this stuff originates from. And hey, we might even learn something new in the process. Here's one we can knock out right away. He has a bee allergy, which is what results in his puffy Wario form. I'm sure there is a Japanese manual or something out there that outright states this, but this is something we can observe without even having to Google anything. In Wario Land 2 through 4, if he gets stung by a bee, his face will puff up. It's right there in the game, no need for a secondary source. He likes wrestling, and his favorite wrestlers are named Big Bomma and Neutron B. He likes listening to country music while working out. Well, these two are pretty easy. I just searched Neutron B on the Mario Wiki, and it redirects you to a list of implied characters. Big Bomma and Neutron B are right there together, paired with a quote from Wario taken from the Wario Land 4 instruction manual.
8 p.m. Evening exercise. While listening to country music, I do 10 sets of 100 push-ups each. That's how I do such powerful attacks. And also because I watch pro wrestling, I like to cheer for Big Bomma and Neutron B.
Despite what the Greentext says, this quote is present in the English manual. However, this page where Wario describes his daily routine also exists in the Japanese manual. I think it's kinda cute how this manual ends with a giant golden clock. You know, kinda like how every Wario Land 4 stage ends with the clock ticking down. And if you run out of time, you start losing gold. That's kind of a cool little thing to put together, and I'm sad that it didn't make its way into the English manual, but it's by no means bad. At least it's in full color unlike the European one. His favorite foods besides garlic are stir-fried liver and chives, crepes, and rice curry. This is one of many points that come from the Japanese Wario Land 4 website. Now, I can't read Japanese, but thankfully Push Dustin posted a translation of the Ask Wario sections onto the Source Gaming website, which I'll link to in the description. This video would not have been possible without fan-made translations like this one. Anyway, the way we learn about Wario's affinity for these foods is through this question. How big is your poop anyway?
Hey, didn't I say to quit it with the dirty questions? But since this is such a good question, I'll answer it. Last night I devoured 10 plates of stir-fried liver and chives, 10 crepes, 10 plates of rice curry, so my poop this morning was huge with a very nice yellow color.
Now, you could be a stickler and argue that Wario doesn't explicitly say that these are his favorite foods, but if he ate 10 plates of them, I think it's safe to say he truly does like these dishes. Here's a random fact that I didn't know before researching this video. Did you know that Wario's favorite food was initially supposed to have been crepes? This information comes from a 1992 interview with the developers of Super Mario Land 2, Wario's first ever appearance. This interview was translated by Shmuplations. When asked about Wario's past and origins, Hiroji Kiyotake, the game's director and character designer for Wario, had this to say. There's been a rumor going around that Wario was childhood friends with Mario, but it's just a rumor. I don't know if it's true or not. His favorite food is crepes. That much seems true. The full interview is honestly very interesting, especially if you like Mario Land 2. As you should. And I'll of course leave a link to it in the description. Big thank you to Shmuplations for translating this interview, and so many others like it. The information about the crepes, rice, and liver and chives is also present in the Japanese Wario Land 2 manual. Now this one sadly doesn't have a cool English translation unless you count the actual English manual, but that one doesn't include this neat Wario bio. This has a bunch of random info like what level of school Wario's completed, to the people he dislikes, to how much he can lift. Wait, only 80 kilos? He can bench press 200 kilograms. What's the maximum amount you can bench press?
Bench press, huh? Oh, that's right. I can easily do 200 kilograms. Recently I did a pile driver on the Golden Diva, so you know it's true.
We already know that Wario can lift 200 kilos. Well, we don't actually know how heavy these weights are in Wario Land 4 or Mario Power Tennis, but look at them, these are easily over 200 kilos. And yeah, needless to say, neither of these are bench presses, so this answer straight from Wario confirms it. Crygor frequently uses Wario as a test subject in his experiments. This is another find from an official Japanese website, this time for WarioWare of course. All the characters have little bios and diary entries, and it's a really great read, or as great of a read as you can get using the Google translated versions of these pages. Saturday, March 8th. Today Wario invited me to a barbecue on the beach. I was asked to bring some food, but it had been decades since I'd had a barbecue, so I didn't know what to grill. So I brought along special drinks that I invented to make me super smart, but Wario drank it all. I was still experimenting. Well, just right, I guess I'll keep an eye on Wario's progress. Sunday, March 9th. Wario is in pretty good condition after drinking the special drink. It was quite a powerful concoction, but maybe it was because he was Wario that he was able to withstand it. However, he seems to completely return to normal after excretion. Let's continue experimenting in the future. Wario has apparently gone treasure hunting with Mona at least once. Another one from the Japanese WarioWare site. This one's written from Mona's perspective. There was news in today's morning paper that the ruins of the Diamond Civilization, known as the Golden City, had been discovered. It's been a while since I'd heard something like that, so I was excited. I was sure that Uncle Wario would go on a treasure hunt, and as expected, I found him setting off on a motorcycle in true adventurous style. Of course I'm gonna follow you from now on too. That's why today's the last time I'll be writing in this diary. Thank you for reading my diary, even though it was only for a short time. I'm sure there's more evidence of Mona going on treasure hunts in the actual WarioWare games. I do like the little detail of how Mona's hat in this game is the same sort of one that Wario wears. She truly does idolize him. Also, the machine translation kept saying Wario's uncle, which I manually corrected to Uncle Wario. As much as I'd like to believe that there's a mysterious character who's related to Wario and hangs out with Mona for some reason, I think there would probably be some other mention of him on the internet as opposed to this one random untranslated blog post. Random aside. Okay, so this isn't part of the Greentext, but I thought it was interesting enough to include in the video anyway. So on 9Volt's section of the website, he has a few pages where he infiltrates Nintendo's offices. It's pretty cool to see these images, even though they're mostly just normal office building interiors. I like the fact that there's a Starfy balloon, or maybe it's a lantern or something, hanging from the ceiling. Starfy's a great series, by the way, you should totally play it. And Wario himself had a very fleshed out cameo in the third Starfy game. Anyway, the thing I found coolest was that we get to see this little guy. I'm sure if you've played the first WarioWare, you'll recognize this thing, but for those that can't quite place it, it's the Martian from the Mashin' Martians microgame. I don't know, it's kinda cool to see a physical prop out in the real world that they digitized and used to make this game. I highly recommend going through the site yourself because it's generally pretty cool, though be aware that you'll have to read it all through machine translation. Speaking of 9Volt, Wario once gave 9Volt a Game Boy Advance SP. Today's my mom's birthday. That's why I gave her the Game Boy Advance SP he gave me. Mom also loves games, so she was very happy. Will I be able to buy the game again? Okay, so the machine translation originally said, that's why I gave Wario the Game Boy Advance SP he gave me. But that doesn't really make sense in this context. Also, fun fact, this is the first ever appearance of 5Volt in the entire WarioWare series, though she does go unnamed here. He claims the reason for his immortality is purely because he doesn't feel like dying. Okay, you've probably been waiting to hear me talk about this one. Wario doesn't feel like dying. It is undeniably a cool as fuck idea. Like, imagine being such an absolute boss of a character that you're immortal simply because you want to be. I feel like on any other character this might seem kinda stupid and forced, but it's Wario, everything works with him. Wario's like the only character I can think of that, whether you threw him into World War II or you threw him into a party with a bunch of clowns, he'd fit like a glove in both scenarios somehow. Anyway, this specific part of the Greentext is inherently something worth repeating. I've seen a decent bit of misinformation when it gets spread online. People have claimed that it's from the manuals of Wario Land 2 or 3, but it's just from the Wario Land 4 website. Wario, why are you invincible?
Why am I invincible? You don't wanna die, right? Well, I don't wanna die either.
I can't blame the people who think this is from Wario Land 2 and 3 though. In those games, Wario is invincible, but in Wario Land 4 he just has a normal ass health meter, and you will lose if you take enough damage. Okay, let's run through some quick ones. You know the drill by now. These are from the Wario Q&A on the Wario Land 4 site. I will highlight the senders of these next 3 messages because I think they're funny. He claims to hate smart things, jerks that are stingy with their money, chocolate with peanuts, marron glacés, peppers, and jigsaw puzzles. From Drop Dead Mario, a 12-year-old boy. Dear Genius Wario, is there anything besides Mario that you hate?
You did a good job of buttering me up. Your pen name is good, and you called me a genius. You're a Wario fanboy, ain't ya? As for the question at hand, I hate smart things, jerks that are stingy with their money, chocolate with peanuts in it, marron glacés, peppers, jigsaw puzzles. I think that's it. If you're a true Wario fan, you'd better follow this list.
He spends quite a bit of the treasure he gains, mostly on food. From Take, a 9-year-old boy. What do you do with all the treasure you collect? Have you saved a lot? Or do you use it recklessly?
How I use the treasure I collect is none of your concern. It's none of your business. That's what I was about to say, but I'll let you in on a little secret. I use quite a bit. Most of it goes towards food. My angel coefficient is pretty high, Was that a bit too high level for you?
From Nintendo. He probably means Engel coefficient. Really glad that Nintendo clarified what an Engel coefficient was. I'm sure the 9-year-old who asked that really needed to know. He once ate 100 poison mushrooms and developed red and white spots all over his body. He wonders if he would have turned into a toad if he kept this up. From Kosuke, a 14-year-old boy. If you ate a super mushroom, what would happen?
While I like matsutake mushrooms, I hate those poison-colored super mushrooms. One time I ate 100 of them, and they really did a number on my stomach. For the whole week after, red and white spots appeared on my body, and my crap also had red and white spots. I wonder, if I ate 100 more of them, would I have turned into a toad?
I like how Wario doesn't actually answer this kid's question, but we do get an answer to this in the first WarioWare. In this hashtag retro microgame titled Grow Wario Grow, you're tasked with hitting a question block and stealing a mushroom from Mario. Wario does go from his powered down form to this more normal one. I guess this would be called Super Wario if we're going by Mario naming conventions. So anyway, to answer that kid's question, Wario would indeed turn bigger just like Mario. He washes his clothes every 10 days. King Wario, do you wash your clothes?
Oh, finally! A question where I can show how clean I am. How about it? I bet the answer will surprise you. In the span of 10 days, I wash my clothes 1 time. I guess because I love being clean so much you can say I'm a clean freak.
He considers garlic the source of his powers. From Gario, a 9-year-old boy. What is the source of your amazing powers?
The source of my wonderful powers? Well, it's garlic. Burping after an hour of eating 20 cloves of raw garlic is an insatiable smell. The combination of the smell of garlic and my stomach acid makes a superb pairing, a sour, smelly odor that is just amazing. I wish I could give you guys a whiff myself.
Translator's note, Gario is probably a play on Mario or Wario. He apparently has a farming background. And we'll end off this little Wario history lesson with an entry about Wario's history. To my knowledge, there's no official source outright stating that Wario has a farming background, but there are a few pieces of evidence that prove he had in fact partook in farming before. He keeps chickens in Wario Land 2, specifically the hen, which is the focus of the first mission in Chapter 2, but that thing's more of a pet than a piece of livestock.
My beloved pet. She wouldn't harm a flea, so please be nice to her.
However, Hen's only other appearance is in Game & Watch Gallery 4, where we do see Wario doing some actual farming. She and Wario both appear in the modern version of Fire Attack, but if you leave your cursor over that game, you get a small cutscene showing Wario tending to a tomato field. So at the very least, we can say that Wario has in fact farmed tomatoes at some point. Well, that's every single line of this green text, and it all turned out to be true. I'm honestly surprised there wasn't some random line that was completely made up. Like, I really expected to research one of these claims and come up empty-handed, but most of these were decently easy to track down. If you want even more weird Wario lore that wasn't mentioned in this video, then I highly recommend reading through all of the translated Wario Land 4 website posts. Also, do check out the WarioWare website, though again, for that one you will need to use Google Translate or something equivalent. Thank you for watching, and thank you to the lovely patrons on screen for voting for this episode. Patrons such as Casey, Starlin, and Camel King Clarith all made this episode possible. If you want to see more stuff like this, consider subscribing and all that. Everything after this point will just be random update stuff, so if you want to click off the video now, go ahead. Thank you for watching this far. I will say I haven't really posted on the Patreon a ton, so it's mostly just there if you want to support the channel. You just get the added perks of seeing the videos a bit early and having your name at the end. I don't know, dude, I'm just kinda doing what I see every other competent YouTuber do, so there's no rulebook on how you're supposed to run a Patreon. Okay, there was a bunch of rambling at the end of this recording that I cut out because it was just good old YouTuber whining. The TLDR is that I'm very busy with actual real-life 9-to-5 work. So, videos will take a long time, but that's just life. That's all for now, though. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye!